Welcome clients and guests to my channel. I'm Jason Serro and I'm a licensed professional counselor. My videos are designed to educate and empower you to make informed decisions about your mental health. You're the worst parent ever. That's not fair. You don't love me. Oh, these dreaded phrases go over like a lead balloon when a parent hears this from their kid. But there may actually be some painful but necessary lessons learned when these situations come up. Love languages for children, and yes, you guessed it, Dr. Gary Chapman, with the help of Dr. Ross Campbell, wrote the book. Be sure to check out my other video on the 5 love languages and you'll have the complete picture. If you recall in my love language video, Dr. Chapman talks about 5 distinct categories: quality time, acts of service, gifts, words of affirmation, and physical touch. I speak to you through the lens of the children I have worked with for the past 15 years as a teacher, therapist, and parent of 2 children. I've had the privilege to work with children and teens who have shared with me the most intimate details of what makes them feel loved and validated. The importance of today's discussion lies mostly in how this relates to the children and teens in your life and how you can understand how they receive and deliver love. If you care about this, it clearly demonstrates a growth mindset, and your relationships are destined to evolve as opposed to remaining stagnant or even deteriorate over time. Quality time. Does your child like to read books together, cuddle before bed, like to go for walks or ride bikes together, get pushed on the swings, do a special craft together, or even bake and cook together? Do they insist that you spend time with them watching movies or shows like Garfield, My Little Pony, and True in the Rainbow Kingdom, like my daughters? Or my all-time favorite is when we play red light, green light, and I get sent back to the start line when I get too close to winning and I'm told I'm cheating. Do your kids like to play chess, board games, video games, or play sports with you? Children love spending time with us, and the more we engage with them on their level, the more they feel we care about what interests they have, and the stronger our overall trust and bond grows. Finally, as a father of 2 girls, I make a concerted and consistent effort to ensure that the father-daughter relationship is strong for each of them collectively and especially individually. Most of our quality time is either done as an entire family or with the girls and myself. However, I have found that the most important time is the time spent on what we refer to as our weekly dates. Just about every week I take out each of my girls on a date to the playground, the aquarium, or we get some lunch or dinner, and it becomes a dinner date. That one-on-one time they have with their father is very special to them, as they get daddy's undivided attention and are treated exactly as they deserve. It's not about being too busy or saying you don't have enough time to do something like that. You make the time. One-on-one time with your daughter becomes a priority, and your girls will feel like they matter, have stronger self-esteem and self-worth, feel valued and loved, and know how their partners should treat them. Kids are sharp. They know when we are mindlessly scrolling through Facebook, Instagram, and whatever else there may be, and call us out on it. Listen to those assertions they have and respect their views. In fact, I would encourage you to validate their assertive communication when they tell you these things, because it will certainly help them communicate well in the future. Acts of service. Children want to show what they can do. That's partly because they're learning what they're capable of doing, and they want to impress us and hear that good job. Do not rob them of these moments just because they won't do it exactly how it should be done, or because it makes your life easier if you just do it. Yes, it's very frustrating as a parent to have to do things twice or wait an extra 5 minutes to get something done that you can do in 5 seconds. But when you allow and encourage them to do things on their own and help out, they feel like they're contributing to the family. It also gives them confidence to do more tasks because they now have experience being successful doing something. My oldest daughter, who just turned 7, lights up like our Christmas tree when in general conversation we talk about how she can use the washing and drying machine, as well as folding the clothes. Not to mention, she just made her and her 3-year-old sister lunch. Why? Because we have modeled for her what to do and allowed her the freedom to put her own twist on making lunch for herself and her sister. She was so confident and self-assured when we congratulated her achievements. So many parents through the years have complained to me that their child or teen doesn't do anything to help out or can't do the one chore that is asked from them, and they seem dumbfounded by that. I'm amazed that they never really guided or taught them healthy house habits and thought they were making their child's life easier by doing things for them. We can't underestimate our children. We can't think so little of them. We have to express confidence in them and that they can do things despite our critiques of how they do it. It's never too late to start, and if you are starting late, I encourage you to do these tasks with your children, and over time, with consistency and effort, naturally they will be able to do these tasks on their own. The child that emphasizes this love language will want to help with household chores like unloading the dishwasher, folding laundry. In fact, make this one fun by allowing them to jump in the pile of clothes first, and then have them get to work. They may like to bring you your cup of coffee or get the mail for you. If they have a sibling, they may bring the other a blanket to snuggle in, share toys, and do things for each other that they know will be appreciated and reciprocated. They may hold the door for people, write thank you notes, or make crafts for others. My 3-year-old likes to cook with me and bake with my wife. She cuts the garlic for me. Don't worry, she uses a dull butter knife, strains the tomato sauce for me, and places the chocolate chip cookie ingredients into the mixing bowl for my wife. She's pretty smart. She's learning the art of negotiation too by asking for an extra cookie because she did a lot of work. Let's move on to the next love language that's referred to as gifts. In my other video on the 5 love languages for adults, I mentioned how I believe the gifts love language is really misunderstood, and that's mainly because it's more about you thinking about the person and not so much the actual physical gift. That's a small nuance that children don't pick up on too much. With children, I find it to be more about the gifts being in line with what interests they have and gifts that represent who they are at that current age. And with children and how fast they develop, it's important to stay up to date with their current interests. So if you're giving your child a gift related to Mickey Mouse and they've graduated to Star Wars, well, this may be your first day on Earth, so welcome and please join us. All bad jokes aside, children who emphasize this love language will make cards, artwork, or crafts for a friend or family member. They will love to participate in treasure hunts and anything competitive that has a prize included. Recently, my oldest daughter gave all her money to her younger sister, and now the flamingo she bought with that money is currently her best friend and literally goes everywhere with her. Me calling it a pelican doesn't win any points with my youngest, and she makes sure to let me know it's not a pelican, it's a flamingo. Words of affirmation. I'm so proud of how hard you worked on that project. Nice job using your words. I'm so impressed with you for dressing yourself today. We adults must choose our words carefully when we communicate to our children. Their filter can get real negative real quick if we don't have sensitivity when we deliver messages to them. The feeling of shame gets established very early in life, and it's often a result of feeling like we have disappointed our parents in some way, and or the parents are critical of the child, thus making the child feel inadequate. Being critical of a child and stating a complaint are two completely different things. When you are critical of your child, you will say something like, "What's wrong with you? Why would you do that?" The child immediately thinks there's something faulty in who they are. Clearly, there must be something wrong with me. This is where they begin to internalize their thoughts and feelings and may develop low self-esteem and self-worth. Even if you dropped the first part of that sentence, it would be so much better. A complaint would sound something more like, "That was pretty scary what just happened. Do you think you could have made a safer choice?" Even if the child gets defensive and maybe doesn't even have a solution, let them sit on that and let it be. Keep it moving. Most children have a conscience. They know right from wrong for the most part. They don't need us telling them there's something wrong with them, and we don't need to correct them all the time. If you constantly correct them, they often feel defeated, like they can't do anything right. Give them the freedom to challenge their own choices by planting some seeds of alternative choices and behaviors, not drilling the right thing to do into them. Help them develop a growth mindset and not a fixed mindset. Sometimes, when I challenge a parent on their critical ways, they'll often defend themselves by saying that they had to correct the behavior so that it won't happen again. They were doing something wrong. If there's a safety issue, sure, that makes sense. We don't want our kids running into the street with cars whizzing by, and sometimes we need to freak out to correct the behavior. However, most of the time it's not a safety issue we're talking about, and it's a situation that does not need critical judgment and blaming. It just requires the parent to bite their tongue and revisit it at a later time. Children who feel loved by words find greater value when there is essentially a reason behind the statements. The phrase "I love you," for example, is a great expression, but it can be taken for granted if there is sometimes no context to it. I love you as my son or daughter, no matter what, always and forever. We want to establish unconditional love, but we also want to add to that by citing the words of affirmation to continually grow their self-esteem. Follow that by saying, I love you because you are kind to yourself and others. I love you because no matter the result, you give it your all. I love you because you care so much about your friends and that you're a great friend. I love you because you try different things and aren't afraid to make mistakes. I love you because you bring so much joy and laughter to our family. These interpersonal statements help children with their self-esteem and grow their confidence. They also will pay this forward to others because their bucket is being filled every day by you, their loving parent. Check out the book, How Full Is Your Bucket for Kids by Tom Rath and Mary Reckmeyer. I'll put the link in the description below. Physical touch. I'm passionate about talking about the critical importance of physical touch with children. This is where children learn to develop healthy or unhealthy physical relationships based on the types of touch they experience. Healthy touch includes holding hands, cuddling on the couch, hugs and kisses at bedtime, and when a parent greets and leaves their child for the time being or day. Healthy touch goes well beyond those things though. High fives, fist bumps, throwing your kid on your back or shoulders, playing fun games like horsey and special delivery are where they get the fun bonding types of physical touch and learn what's healthy. If your child is asking you for these things, provide them appropriately to them. Asking your child permission before you touch them is equally as important. I have one daughter who likes being head scratched and the other can't stand it. By asking them permission to touch them teaches them that they have control over their body and who touches it and where. When you touch your child even innocently and they don't like it, you are violating their boundaries and personal space. What confuses children is when healthy touching is mixed in with corporal punishment. This includes spanking, slapping, pinching, pulling, twisting, pinning them down or restraining them, and hitting them with an object. Lots of literature continues to show the devastating mental health effects that this type of physical contact has, but it's still employed by a great deal of families today. When an adult hits their child out of frustration or anger, I refer to this as an adult temper tantrum. The parent is not exhibiting any self-control, deploying their power and control, and is showing off a fixed mindset. There are other ways to get your point across that won't scare your children or confuse them. We often wonder why our children are physical with siblings, friends, and us parents. It's being modeled by the parent that when they think there is something wrong or some behavior needs to be corrected, what we do is try to make them physically weaker. It's a destructive message that chips away at trust, and it shows in the hundreds of clients, both underage and now adults, that have told me how damaging unhealthy physical touch has been for them. It's never too late to adapt your parenting methods while continuing to maintain discipline within the household. If you have watched until this point in the video, you must actually care and are dedicated to making your relationship with your child healthier and happier. Make the necessary changes that your child is communicating to you, and there will surely be progress in both your child's self-esteem and overall development, as well as an evolution in your parent-child relationship. Let's continue to work together on improving our growth mindsets so we can collectively raise a more assured, secure, and kind child. If you liked this video or found it useful in any way, please share it to someone you believe it may help. Please like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget to put the notification bell on so you know exactly when my next video comes out. Thank you for watching, and as always, be where you are, be resilient.